Kevin O'Connor currently serves as Assistant to the General President of the International Association of Firefighters, the IAFF, representing over 260,000 members across the United States and Canada. In his capacity, Mr. O'Connor supervises the development of policy objectives for IAFF and engages in lobbying efforts before the Congress and various regulatory agencies. Kevin served proudly for 15 years as a firefighter EMT in the Baltimore County Fire Department, where he saw duty both as a line firefighter as an aide to the chief of the department. He received a commendation for bravery for a rescue during a multiple alarm apartment fire. He majored in political economy at the Washington and Lee University and graduated from the Harvard Trade Union program. Kevin, welcome. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Klein, and members of the committee. I appreciate the very generous introduction. I would like to note that it's my honor today to represent the now 283,000 members of the International Association of Firefighters who risk their lives every day serving America's communities. I would also like to note, in addition to being a career firefighter in Baltimore County for 15 years, I also very proudly served as a volunteer in that very same jurisdiction. During my years as a local union officer and 9 years as president of Local 1311, I had the opportunity to bargain 10 contracts that measurably improved the delivery of service and improved safety for firefighters serving in Baltimore County. H.R. 980 is about two things: fundamental fairness and creating a structured process in which public safety officers and their respective governmental employers can meet and discuss workplace safety and security issues. Let me begin by first addressing the issue that is most pressing to our nation, and that is Homeland Security. Since 9/11, a day of infamy that claimed the lives of 343 of my brother firefighters, the public has developed a new respect for the vital work of firefighters and our integral role in protecting Homeland Security. Mr. Chairman, after reading everyone's written testimony, I think that everyone on this panel agrees on one thing: we support collective bargaining rights in general. It is also not disputed that this process, provided through 50 separate individual state laws, will measurably improve emergency services and public safety. And post 9/11, Americans have a right to the Homeland Security dividend that collective bargaining pays. If and only if states choose not to provide this valuable Homeland Security tool and to preserve their own individual states' rights, it becomes the job of this Congress to set minimum standards to make both firefighters and the general public safer. First responders are indeed the nation's first line of defense against terrorist attacks and natural disasters. We are the first on every emergency scene and the very last to leave. To do our jobs effectively and safely, we need a seat at the table. We need to be able to discuss response issues, engage in meaningful dialogue about the equipment, staffing, and processes required to protect the jurisdictions which we so proudly serve. Simply put, collective bargaining is an appropriate and necessary vehicle to facilitate those goals. Years ago, many elected officials looked at public safety issues as the exclusive purview of local governments and felt that this issue should be left to the states. Since the creation of FEMA in 1979, the federal government has assumed a growing and increasingly supervisory role in local public safety issues. And since 9/11, the connection between federal, state, and local government has become totally entwined. The federal government has mandated basic levels of training and response standards. It has instituted the National Response Plan and created the National Incident Management System. To ensure a more effective response to man-made and natural disasters, the federal government has greatly expanded their support of the Urban Search and Rescue Program, a fantastic example of cooperation between federal, state, and local response providers. Therefore, it is a very logical progression for the federal government to ensure a process by which local government and first responders can meet and discuss those important safety and homeland security issues. And that process is collective bargaining. Since the 1930s, all private sector employees have enjoyed the right to collectively bargain. The workers who build our fire trucks and manufacture our equipment can collectively bargain, but tens of thousands of men and women who risk their lives every day cannot. There's something wrong with that equation. H.R. 980 provides us a seat at the table, nothing more. The measure is designed to encourage each state to craft its own statute to govern bargaining processes for their public safety employees. Provided that four simple conditions are met, the federal government adopts a hands-off posture. Those conditions are, 1, a mechanism for employees to determine whether or not they wish to be represented, 2, a formalized process for management labor to meet and discuss terms and conditions of employment, 3, a non-binding dispute mechanism process, and 4, the ability to enter into legally binding contracts if, and I emphasize if, an agreement is reached. Provided that states substantially comply with those 4 caveats, the federal government has no further role in that state. If, however, a state refuses to enact its own law, the Federal Labor Relations Authority would issue regulations that would, in fact, become that state's bargaining law for public safety officers. Recognizing that we are dealing with public funds and the local government's fiscal authority, jurisdictions are never compelled to reach an agreement. At the end of the day, local government controls the purse strings and can simply say no. H.R. 980 mandates a process, not an outcome. This bill presents a rare opportunity to create a process that will both improve emergency service and provide a voice in the workplace for our country's dedicated first responders. On behalf of our nation's first responders, including those in law enforcement represented by the FOP and other organizations, I thank you very much for this opportunity to testify, and we'd be delighted to answer any questions of the committee.